Hello, everyone. This is Deb, the District Lead Coordinator here in Southeast Michigan. We're going to get started here in just a couple minutes. I think we have about another 20-some people that we're waiting for everybody to pop on today. I want to first thank you for taking the time today to come to our webinar, and hopefully this will work at least as well, if not better, than our regular face-to-face captains meetings. The other thing that I want to make everyone aware of is that we are recording today's webinar, and the information will be available at our district website in the near future. For those of you that have been with us here to start, we've had a little question put up here on our webinar. I'm going to close that out right now. Today's question has been, who holds the record for the fastest serve in women's tennis at 131 miles per hour? That was previously held by Venus Williams, but Sabine Lisicki is the holder of that fast serve competition now. She served that at the Bank of the West Classic in Stanford, and she recorded 131 miles per hour, 2 hours faster than Venus's 2007 U.S. Open serve. Okay. I'm waiting for your view to have our first screen for our webinar. There we go. Again, I want to thank you for all of you for attending, and for those of you that didn't hear me initially to start with, we are recording today's webinar just so that you are aware that the information is being recorded and it will be available eventually on our district website. Most of you should be aware that you are in a mute situation, so you're not able to ask questions, but what you can do is ask questions via your keyboard by typing it in, and I will see a little hand raised here. If you can, feel free to type your questions in as we go along. I may wait completely until the end of the webinar to answer the questions, but we will take care of that business at least at the end. If not, if something's absolutely imperative, we deal with it right away, we'll deal with it. Okay. I believe you will see an area on your webinar that shows you where you can ask your questions. So you will just type that in. I'm not sure what your screen looks like to tell you exactly where to go on that, but Monday night's webinar, we had a lot of people that did ask questions, so I think it should be pretty clear where you would go to find that. Okay. For those, most of you are probably aware of our district website. Of course, that website address you see on the screen now, www.semich.usta.com. Information specifically regarding issues within our district is what you will find at this website. You will see links to some other national websites or to the Midwest website, but if you are looking for information that pertains specifically to Southeast Michigan, you need to go to this website. We also are a Facebook entity. There's a link to go to our Facebook page that does show up at our district website. That's probably the easiest place to connect to that. Michelle Bear is our administrative assistant here in the office, and she's also our Facebook person as well as our Twitter person. So if you are interested in keeping up with what's going on with us, you can find us at Twitter, or you can find us at our website or at our Facebook page. That is also where we have our pictures posted of all our district championship teams. Our winners are posted there, and you have the opportunity to grab those screenshots with pictures. Just want to give you a quick little rundown of some of the things that happened last year in our league. We continue to be at least a top 10, actually number 6 in the country as far as league size goes. We are of course, one of the largest programs in the country, and that is a tribute to you for all you do as captains. The league program could not run without our captains, and we want to make sure that you know that we know that. Just very quickly, as far as participation goes, the 18 and over league, down a little bit. However, where we see our growth happening is in the 40 and over leagues and the 55 and over leagues, as you can see on this screen. And we also see growth in our 65 and over league, as well as our mixed doubles leagues, especially in our 40 and over mixed doubles league. The two screens that I shared with you here don't include our combo doubles with that information. However, we have had a very large combo league program, and growth is still occurring in that group as well. You may or may not have been aware of the teams that we've had advance to nationals. Last year the year before we had a dozen teams make it, so we were down a little bit this year, but we still had a very good level of representation at nationals. We did have 2 teams make it to the Final Four in their group. You will see that the 4-0 women out of varsity, Captain Shaquita Berg, they finished 3rd in the country. And the 40 and over 9-0 mixed doubles team out of Livonia Y, Captain Rob Smith, they finished 4th in the country. So we had some teams have exceptional experiences at nationals last year. We also want to make sure we recognize our combo doubles teams. There are no national championships for combo, but we had 3 teams last year win the Midwest Championships. This year's version will be happening in another couple weeks, but always like to recognize the people that made it there last year. The other thing I'd just kind of like to point out to you is the depth that we have in our 8-5 league. You see we won the 8-5 men and the 8-5 women. We also won those the year before with 2 different teams, and this year our 2 teams that are going to be advancing are 2 different teams from those 4 teams. So we have some very good local play going on in our local league at combo, especially in the 8-5 group. Just give you an idea of our overall situation as far as the number of players that we've had registered for our league. We're knocking on the door of 13,000 players, have just slightly under 5,000 individuals that participate in our program. We get to that 12.9 figure due to the fact that most of our players play in more than one league. So that 12,953 is every time a person registers. The 4,990 are the specific individuals that have been playing in our program that played last year. For this year, we have some incentives for both our players and for our captains. All members, as you go in to renew or purchase a new membership, junior or adult, you can receive a free US Open hat if you use the source code ORG16. We also offer a $20 rebate for new members, or a player that's considered a lapsed member is someone that hasn't had a membership for 5 years. Those players will need to go into our district website under incentives, community incentives, and fill out the rebate form, and that will be sent out to the specific member. We also offer a league loyalty program specifically for U.S. captains. Any captain that's been a captain for 5 years, 5 consecutive years, or 10 consecutive years is sent a gift from us. We have a nice leather luggage tag for our 5-year people, and I believe we still have the license plate holders for our 10 years of consecutive service. Now I want to get into a little bit of the changes. We'll start with the changes that have come down to us from nationals. With the adult 40 and over 4-5 plus teams, they are allowed to now carry 3 players at the 5-0 level. I believe last year the limit was 2. This year they're now allowed to carry 3. but still only 2 players may play in a league match that are 5-0 players. They have to either play together at first doubles, or they can split up and play first singles and then partner with another person and play first doubles. Nationally, a decision was made to eliminate the national championships for 2-5 men's leagues and the 2-5 mixed doubles leagues. For our local rules, we've made a few changes. First has to do with your match fees. We haven't had an increase in the player match fee for many years. So league committee authorized a change on that to change it to the $15 per player per match, which actually matches what the winter and fall leagues have been playing. So the regular fees are now $15 per person per match. We have instituted a strict deadline for team minimums. There are no extensions. The date that everyone needs to remember, 9 a.m., April 4th. We started to enforce this policy with our winter league, and we did have 4 teams that didn't make minimums. I'll talk about this a little bit more in another slide or two, but that deadline is a firm deadline. Same thing as far as filling out the captain's waiver form or the captain's agreement form. We'll talk about that in a second too. Another rule that I've summarized with the phrase of if you pay, the site must let you play. It's best to kind of give you an example of what this means. If you take a team, if you go as a team to a club, everyone is anticipating that all courts are going to be filled. So if you're a 3-court league, the club is anticipating that 3 courts are going to be playing. Our forfeit rule allows you to forfeit one of those courts with a 24-hour notice without paying. If you show up without that court, the club is still expecting income from that fee, or from the court that now is not there. However, if the other 2 courts pay all their court fees, they have to be allowed to play. They cannot be told, since you didn't bring the 3rd court and you're refusing to pay, or they can't decide that you can't play. So if you've paid, if your players have played and you have a legal match on site, the club has to let you play that match that night. They can't turn you away. We've made some clarifications in our total team default rule. Oh, I'm sorry. And we've actually just clarified the payment process on the total team default rule. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a second. And as well as we have made some changes with when players have to declare for teams when they're on multiple teams in the same age group and level during our playoffs. And again, we'll talk about that in a second here. Okay. And like I said, the team minimum date for summer leagues is 9 a.m. April 4th. It's a Monday. If teams do not have the required minimum number of players, the team will be taken out of the group for the summer league. There are no refunds, but what we can do is if you had a team that only had 2 people register, those people can be moved to other 2016 teams. So just for your clarification, if you're a 2-5 or a 5-0 team, you must have at least 5 people registered by that deadline. If you're a mixed doubles team or a 55 and over team, you must have at least 6 people registered. If you're an adult 18 or 40s, other than the 2-5s and 5-0s, the bulk of the levels, the bulk of the 18s and 40s, you must have at least 8 people registered. That number is determined based on the number of people you need to field the minimum, the actual court match for that. So if you're a 5-court team, you need 8 people. So those deadlines are 9 a.m. April 4th. I see a hand. Let me check real quick. Sorry, I'm having trouble getting to the question, so I will check here. All right, the captain's agreement form is available on our district website. This is a screenshot of what the screen looks like, where you would go to then click on it to get to the waiver. You go to semich.usta.com, then you go over to USTA Leagues, click on Captain's Resources, and this is the page that'll show up, and right here where my arrow is where you go to click to bring up, it's a JOT form, and you just fill it out online. This is what the form says. It's basically your agreement that you're going to follow our rules and that you're going to make sure that you inform your players of this information. It also acknowledges that we'll be using your email address as well as your phone number for communication with the other captains in the leagues, and that it would not be used for solicitation for non-USTA events by us or by you. So there's more information that's underneath this on the website, but you'll see that this is the verbiage that is on the captain's agreement. Now I want to touch on the total team default policies. League committee has not made any changes to this rule. This has always been our rule, is that if you as a team are not able to play the match or won't play the match, for whatever reason, at least the minimum number of courts didn't get played, the team is responsible to that club to pay for all the court fees, that revenue that was lost by the club. They sell court time. That's what their business is selling court time. And if matches don't get played, they've lost their income. And there's no way to recover that. So our rule has always been, if you don't play the match, the team at fault is responsible for the entire payment of the match. What league committee has done is set out very clearly what the consequences will be and the process that will be followed should there be a situation where a total team default occurs. When that happens, the captain will receive an email, as well as all the players on the team, and the club or the facility that they play out of will receive an email stating, this is what happened. Your team is responsible to pay X amount of dollars within 10 business days. If that does not get paid, the captain would be suspended for 364 days. Any kind of suspension that comes into play happens at the end of that particular league season. If the first payment doesn't get paid, then the entire team will incur a $100 team penalty, as well as the court fees that are still due. At that point, all the players, the captain, and the facility will be informed that now we're into this phase. If those fees are not paid, then everyone on that roster will be suspended for 364 days. I want to also impress upon all of you is that for the most part, we don't have this issue arise, but there was a need, it was felt there was a need to spell this out as to what would happen on the rare occasions where it does happen, to make it perfectly clear this is the process. Please understand that we know you as captains do a very good job. There's really no need to worry or panic. Like I say, occasionally it happens, but we felt it was necessary to lay out what the consequences were. If you do have any concerns or anything, please feel free to give us a call here at the office, and we'll see what we can talk about on this. But like I say, for the most part, most of you don't have any need to be worried. I do have a question about defaulting one court within the 24-hour period. Our rule as far as individual court defaults, if you give the club and the captain notification at least 24 hours in advance that you have to drop a court, or 2 courts. If you're in a 5-court league, you could drop 2 courts. If you give them 24-hour notice, you are not required to pay for that court. But if you show up, you're still responsible for paying for that court if you haven't given them notice. Okay. Okay, we're going to move on from total team defaults. We're going to go on to another tough decision. Historically, for our district, this only affects our women's leagues. Our men play in 1 league. We don't offer multiple seasons for the men's leagues. For the women's leagues, we offer a day league and a night league. League committee has made the decision that now players that are on multiple teams, day and night, will need to make their choice prior to our playoffs. The decision will be made in writing, and that decision is final. So once a player makes a choice, that's the team they're with. If they choose the team that wins, they'll be happy. If they choose the team that doesn't win, they cannot rejoin the other team that they used to be a part of. Where the decision has to be made is only if it's in the same age group and the same playing level. You never have to choose between age groups. You never have to choose between adult or mixed. You never have to choose if you're playing 3-5 and 4-0. Those are different. But if you're on, I've given you some examples here. If you're on an 18 over day and an 18 over night team, both of them are 3-0s, you have to choose. If you're on a 40 and over 3-5 day team and a 7-0 night team, then they both win. Those are 2 different situations. They're not going to have to face themselves. That's another way to look at this. If you're on a team that could potentially play yourself, you have to choose before playoffs begin this year. I've talked to a few captains and kind of mixed reaction on this, but one of the things that I've heard captains say to me is that it always gets a little tough trying to figure out and make your plan for playoffs. If people have been allowed to play on all these teams, at least now they'll know exactly who they have for that weekend. They won't have to worry about if somebody finishes another match. So the league committee decision has been that we will make this decision. We'll have to have this decision made up front. So going into playoffs, we know which teams are coming and who's on which team. For the most part, our local league rules have stayed the same. We haven't changed any of the days of play. So whatever level and whatever you played last year, you're playing the same day as before. We are still requiring a 30% at level for all 18 and over and 40 and over teams. That is not in play for anything else except 18s and 40s. So if you have a team in that group, at least 30% of your team has to be at level. Winter and summer mixed doubles, I just want to touch on this. We're basically doing what we did last year. We offered half and half and flipped whatever levels going into the next season. We're doing the same this year, but I want to make you aware that we will be making some changes next fall, but we'll talk about that in a couple minutes briefly. Indoor backup and who decides when and where. If you're in a purely outdoor only league, things are a little bit different, but same process here as far as the rule goes. But this was made to address where we've had to mix some of our indoor and outdoor teams together. The outdoor team, as the host team, makes the arrangements for indoor backup, not the visiting team. The home team makes those arrangements. If the home team makes a decision to go indoors with at least 2-hour notice, the home team's decision stands. The visiting team has to go where they're saying they're going to go for backup. If the decision is not made with more than 2-hour notice, or if you're there and you're playing the match and it starts to rain, the decision and choice on that becomes that of the visiting team. The home team will say, well, I have courts at XYZ. The visiting team can say, no, we'll follow the rain makeup rule, which is in effect you'll play that weekend instead. But the 2-hour window, that is still in play. Okay, on our website, we will have a calendar 2 different ways showing you what levels play what day in case you're looking to form another team or you've had to move up or move down a level. This calendar shows you each day what plays during the day or at night. This version, if you know you're looking for a 3, 5, 40 and over men's team, you can go here to see where it plays. It just is a little bit easier way to locate what the leagues are. For our 30% of players at level on a roster, this only means on the roster. It does not mean you have to play a certain number of people per night at level. It only means you have 12 people on your roster, 4 of them have to be at the level you're playing at. It's not a very big number that's required until you start getting into some of these bigger roster sizes. So if you have a moderately level team, size team, even up to 16 players, you still only have to have 5 at level. Okay, I want to take a look here at some of our questions before I go on because okay, somebody wanted to know how far in advance you'll have to declare teams. We haven't set a deadline on that yet, but we will make sure that that's clear to everyone what the deadline is for that. Another person. So if you're on 2 teams, you choose Team A and Team B goes to state tournament, then you can play or not play on your Team B at state tournament. No. Once you make a decision, you're with that team forever and ever. So if that team splits in 2 and you choose the half that didn't win that moves on, you can't ever go back to the other half. Okay. And then I have one question about the rain rule. If we're playing outdoors and it starts to rain when we're in the middle of playing, the visiting team can deny going indoors. This particular person's talking about some place that has on-site playing. If it's on-site, I would say no. But 99% of our cases for outdoor play and it's raining, you have to go indoors, means getting in a car and traveling somewhere. Yes, the visiting team has the right to say no on that. But if you're talking about a place where you're standing right there and you just got to run inside and play, you need to go inside and play. Okay, I think we got that covered now. So I'm going to move on to the next screen. And we're going to talk about, very quickly, fall leagues in 2016 and what we're going to do just very briefly here. Next fall, we still are going to offer the combo and the team singles leagues. Those matches will start the end of September. Saturday and Sunday are going to be the preferred days for those, and these teams will be scheduled every weekend. We're looking at a tentative situation for playoff dates in December. League Committee would like us to avoid moving into the next calendar year to do our playoffs. So we're going to try to get this done before the holidays hit. Mixed doubles. We've had some feedback as far as what we've tried to do for the last 2 seasons to try to accommodate everyone in the different age groups, and have some people that weren't totally happy. So the committee's thought about this a lot, and we've come up with an idea where we're planning to offer 4 shortened seasons. And we in effect will end up running 2 seasons of 18 mixed and 2 seasons of 40 and over mixed. All of these seasons will only play 1 round robin, and we're looking at trying to use Friday night as the preferred night of play whenever possible. This screen, we'll leave it up here for a while for any of you here that are mixed doubles folks. Well, what we're looking at is season 1 in September, being a 40 and over group. We're looking at Friday as a preferred day. We want to try to use Saturday and Sunday for combo and singles, because those are pretty large programs. We want to try to keep the dates separate to try to help people be able to do whatever, if they want to do multiple leagues. We're looking at those leagues playing every other weekend. And again, it's only 1 round robin. Season 2 will start up in the winter, starting in January, and it will be the 18 and over version with all levels offered. We'll be able to use Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays for that league because the only other league we offer is the team singles league. But again, we still like people to try to look at Fridays to try to help with court availability for other programs that are out there. Another big change that will happen affects our summer leagues in that we will end up having a spring league season for mixed doubles and a summer season for mixed doubles. The spring season will start up early May. It will be the 40 and over version. We're looking at a playoff on that for mid-July. And again, on this league, absolutely Friday is the night we're playing because we're getting into some of our summertime, and that's where we've been before. Then the summer league will be an 18 and over season starting up at the end of June and run through mid-August, flipping over onto Tuesdays like we've had to do before when we start running into those playoffs in August. We will have playoffs for this group in September, as well as potentially the season 1 winner in the 40s and the season 3 winner in the 40s. Their final playoff will be in that September area as well. As far as mixed double states and sectionals go, those are all in mid to late September. So we'll have all of our playoffs, our final playoffs happening in September. Now, just as far as our local rules go, I just always like to remind everybody to remember that our local league matches are unofficiated matches. You can't solicit help outside for line calls, foot faults. On-court disputes need to be handled by the people on court. They're the ones that just experienced whatever the difficulty is. An outside person is not to be involved in that. I know sometimes as captains, things may be a little heated, and if you're there on the courts and it's close, it's fine that you do a little bit of intervention if things are hot. But I can't impress upon you enough that if you do that, you need to take the other captain with you so that you're both there. One piece of, quote, rules that we have is called the code, and it's a set of materials that tell you how to handle the unofficial situations that happen, a lot of the what-ifs. We have a link to that available on our website, as well as you can find it fairly easily just by putting in the code into the internet. I've picked out 2 pieces on here that if these 2 things happen throughout the whole match, there probably won't be any drama. But the number 1 thing listed in the code is courtesy is expected. And tennis is a game that requires cooperation and courtesy. If everyone cooperates and everyone is courteous with each other, that makes it tough to have a fight break out. But a lot of times that's the first thing to go. The other thing is that number 6 in the code is your opponent gets the benefit of the doubt. You don't have officials at local league matches. All the players are responsible for making calls. For the most part, I do think people try to make the calls that they see. People are people. They can make mistakes. Question courteously it tends to get itself corrected. But also, if you're not sure, your opponent gets the benefit of the doubt. So if these two pieces are followed, I think that helps in a lot of situations that we run into. Now, for those of you that like to get into a little more in depth of the basic rules and tennis ethics, 2 seasons ago, Mel Kropko had some meetings where he went over basic tennis ethics and etiquette. He will be reprising his seminars. As you can see, it's going to cover a lot of those touchy situations of like who makes a call when and how to settle scoring disputes. And he does a very good job. It's very interactive. People ask a lot of questions. He goes over several different things, but the meat of this event is the questions that he has asked. We're looking at late April or early May. We will have information on our website, and I'm sure we'll have information sent out to you as well so that you can sign up for those so that you know when and where they are. A lot of you have probably received your team numbers. I'm still waiting on about 10 different places to give me their team list, but registration opened mid-February. Again, team minimums are due 9 a.m. April 4th. That is also the last day that you can drop a team. The rest of these dates have to do with when the leagues start and when your schedules will be coming out. General rule on the schedules is that they come out 2 weeks before your first match. So the 18s and 40s groups, you'll get your schedules May 2nd, and the matches start May 16th. So you'll have them 2 weeks ahead of time. The Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday leagues, you see those dates are another week later. And you also see the dates for our 55s and the 65 and over leagues. Again, you get your schedules 2 weeks before your first match. Also want to let you know that we are starting a little bit later than we did last year. There was some concern that we started too early last year, but what we did with our move this year is that it does impact those Monday leagues as far as available weeks to play. So if you play on a Monday night, you more than likely will end up with a Saturday match. We lose Memorial Day, of course, because that's on a Monday. And this year, the 4th of July falls on a Monday. So we're going to lose that day as well. These deadlines and everything will also be available on a calendar on our website. Championship information. Our winter leagues for winter mixed doubles, we're looking at April 30th and May 1st. Site to be determined. Our 18s and 40s, the end of July, 18 and over adults, first weekend in August. States are the weekend after that for both 18s and 40s, and we are the host district this year. Don't have a place for you yet, but it will be in our district. And then you see the Midwest dates for those, and then our tentative dates for mixed doubles and the 55 and overs coming up. And at the very bottom, our adult 65s, their event has been in October. And at this point, our local league winners advance directly. The women will be going to Kohler, Wisconsin to the America Club again, and the men will be going to Indianapolis. Okay. We appreciate all that you do. Are there other questions? I think I answered the ones that were on here, except I see some questions coming in now, so let me take a look. Okay, somebody is asking who does call foot faults. In unofficiated matches, you would call them on your opponent, but you have to give them a warning first, and it has to be flagrant. There's no way that you can see from your baseline or the middle of the service box that somebody's toe tickled that line. It has to be a flagrant foot fault. But remember, once you start that, probably courtesy and cooperation may have just left the building. So, if you point out to somebody that they're foot faulting, I'd ask, hopefully that takes care of it. Okay. Somebody asked, Pine Lake requires we play on Mondays when the club is closed. Can the 40 and over 3-5 men be moved from Wednesday to Monday? No, we can't change the dates of when levels are playing. We've got this set up for the entire league, and we can't just move one team to another day. Someone's saying they went to USTA.com and my screen looked different. Can you show us how to get to the captain's waiver? The captain's waiver is on our district website. It's semish.usta.com. And then you click on USTA leagues and then captain's resources. Okay, let me look and see if I've got some other questions. The calendar and the championship calendar, they're not on the website now, but they will be there. For clarification, can you explain what a total team default is? A total team default is when either the whole match is not going to play, or if you do not show up with the minimum number of courts required. So in a 3-court league, you have to play at least 2. If you show up with 1, that's a total team default because that's not a minimum match. If it's a 5-court league, you have to show up with at least 3. You have to play at least 3. 3-court league, you have to play at least 2. So either of those situations, if you play fewer than those courts, that's still a total team default. If you don't play at all, that's a total team default. Can you explain what you mean by 1 round robin for mixed? That means every team will play every team once. You won't play a home and then an away match. Can you go over the time limit for default or if a team is coming late? Our local league rule is that a person has 10 minutes or they're defaulted. We don't have the progression of if you're 5 minutes, you lose a game, you lose this. Ours is all or nothing. You have 10 minutes to get there, be on the court ready to play. If you're not, you can be defaulted. I would caution you that if you see someone running frantically through the lobby, putting on shoes, putting on a shirt, and you're at the 9th minute, please play that match. They're running, they're coming. However, the extreme to that on the other end is someone asked in another meeting is, why did we allow someone 30 minutes to get there? I would ask that too. Why would you let someone come 30 minutes late? It damages your match, and it also puts the matches behind you behind. That's the extreme opposite, the other end of that shouldn't happen either. Like I say, our rule is 10 minutes, and you're within your right to take it. But at that point, you need to make sure that you mark the scorecard that is a default at that point as well. But let's try to use some common sense too with those as well, because our point is that we want you to play tennis, not be a rule stickler. Can the late players play, pay or no pay? It depends on what you're talking about. For if they're 10 minutes late and you're going to claim the default when somebody's there right at 10 minutes or 11 minutes, I would play that match. But anybody that's down on the court playing should be paying for the time that they're on the court. Okay. I have another here. Captain's waiver took less than a minute to complete. Thanks for making it easy. Thank you for filling it out. Okay, how will the playoff declarations be? How will the captains be notified of playoff declarations? We're working on the logistics of that. We will make sure you have plenty of time, that the players have plenty of time to make their decision. On a 5-court league, can you play 2 singles and 1 doubles to avoid default? Yes. It doesn't matter which 3 courts you play. You have to default from the bottom up, but you can play 2 singles and 1 doubles. Someone else asked if the presentation was going to be sent out. I believe it'll be on the website along with the recording. I think I may have hit all of the questions. I saw another one come in, but the way they come into me, just a reminder with the defaults that if you're taking it as a default, make sure that the other team knows this beforehand. Make sure the other captain as well as the players know. And I've always suggested that you mark the scorecard at that point. Someone else has made a comment that another team last year took games away for minutes. That was not correct. We do not, that's not our rule. However, that horse has left the barn. Okay, one more time, where's the captain's agreement? If you go to www.semich.usta.com, that's our district website. Click on USTA League on the left-hand side, and then go to Captain's Resources, and you'll see it at the top of the page where you click on it to bring that up. Are there any other questions? Okay, here's one. And can a club deny me access because my team is not wearing the right color tennis outfit? Yes, yes, yes. We have several clubs that require all white clothing. If you show up and you are not dressed appropriately, you will not be allowed to play. That information is listed in our special situations, and as captains, you should always double check that. Also, on the team summary page in Tennis Link, I've made a notation of that for the facilities that require all white clothing. They're generally the outdoor country clubs, but if you show up and they have a white clothing policy, or we have several others that don't allow jeans on the property, those are their rules, and you need to abide by their rules. Where can we get a copy of the USTA rules for the summer? Those are available on our website. They're currently with the winter leagues right now, but we will have them up in the summer area, but the 2016 rules are posted. Any other questions? I'm going to bring this slide up for our web page. Okay. Again, with our district website, once you get to our district website, click on USTA Leagues and then Captain's Resources. Any other questions? Type now. Well, there's no more questions. I think we're finished for today. Thank you very much for taking your time, and appreciate all that you do for your teams and for our leagues, and hope you have a great summer. Have a good afternoon.